Have you ever stopped to think about the impact a single divine message can have on someone's life? For Joseph, in Matthew 2, the dreams sent by angels were more than simple nighttime visions. They were celestial interventions that changed the course of history. In this video, we'll explore 3 powerful lessons that connect us to Joseph's story and show how he responded to challenges with trust in the divine plan. If this topic sparks your curiosity, get ready to dive into a story filled with faith, courage, and timeless lessons. Find a comfortable spot, grab a warm drink, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to keep up with more content like this. Now, let's get straight to the point. What do the angels' messages to Joseph teach us about trust and obedience in moments of greatest challenge? Have you ever stopped to think about the impact a single dream can have? For Joseph, that dream was much more than a nighttime reverie. It was a clear and direct message from heaven. He faced one of the greatest dilemmas of his life, protecting his family in a moment of extreme uncertainty and imminent danger. But what made this dream so special? In the historical context, Herod's threat was real and ruthless. Known for his paranoia and cruelty, Herod didn't hesitate to issue the infamous order to kill all boys under the age of 2 in the region of Bethlehem. It was a calculated move to eliminate any threat to his throne, including the boy Jesus, whom the Magi from the East had identified as the King of the Jews. Imagine the terror Joseph must have felt upon realizing that his family was directly in the crosshairs of such a powerful king. It was then that an angel appeared to Joseph in a dream. The message was clear and left no room for doubt. Get up, take the child and his mother, and flee to Egypt. It is fascinating how this celestial communication not only guided Joseph, but also instilled a sense of urgency and courage. Fleeing to an unknown place with limited resources was not an easy decision. However, the dream was not merely guidance. It was a call to immediate action and trust in something greater. At the time, Egypt was a common refuge for those fleeing oppression in Israel. Still, Joseph had no way of knowing how he would be received there. He had to trust entirely in the divine message. This act of immediate obedience reflects not only Joseph's faith, but also his extraordinary ability to listen and act wisely amid chaos. Beyond the historical context, this moment also reveals Joseph's character. He was a man of action, willing to sacrifice his comfort and security out of love for his family and obedience to the divine call. This total obedience prompts us to reflect. How often are we willing to act with the same determination in the face of the challenges we encounter? Behind this dream was more than mere guidance. It symbolized divine intervention at the exact moment, proving that even in the most challenging situations, there is a plan at work. This message inspires us to trust in divine providence and remember that, even in the darkest nights, the light of divine guidance can lead us. If you received a divine message instructing you to leave your home and head to an unknown place with no guarantees, would you obey without hesitation? That is exactly what Joseph did. And this courageous decision not only saved his family's life, but also changed the course of human history. Upon receiving the angel's instruction, Joseph didn't argue or question it. He simply acted. This unquestionable obedience was one of the pillars that ensured the protection of Jesus and Mary. Imagine the weight of this responsibility. A common carpenter of humble origins bore the duty of protecting the child who, according to the angel's message, would be the savior of the world. His swift response was a demonstration of his profound faith and trust in the divine plan. The journey to Egypt was full of challenges. There were no cars, paved roads, or communication systems. It was an arduous journey across rugged terrain, with few resources and constant dangers. Yet Joseph was willing to face these difficulties, trusting that the angel's message was true and that his obedience would lead to safety and purpose. Egypt, in turn, offered a strategic refuge. It was a region beyond Herod's immediate reach and had a significant Jewish population, which could ease Joseph and his family's adaptation. Even so, it was a foreign land with a different culture and language. Joseph had to trust in his ability to adapt and provide, even far from home. It's interesting to note that Joseph's obedience wasn't just an isolated act. It echoed through generations. Every step he took in the desert, every night spent in unfamiliar lands, was part of a greater divine plan. The survival of Jesus was crucial to fulfilling prophecies like that of Hosea, which stated, "Out of Egypt I called my son," Hosea 11 verse 1. Joseph became an essential piece in realizing this purpose. Another fascinating point is that Joseph didn't receive all the instructions at once. Each angelic message came at the right moment, requiring from him constant and renewed faith. He didn't know what would come after Egypt, but he kept obeying, step by step. This teaches us the importance of trusting the process, even when we can't see the full picture. Beyond the physical escape, Joseph's attitude also symbolizes a spiritual journey. He chose obedience and faith over fear and doubt. His story inspires us to act courageously in the face of our own challenges, reminding us that trust in a greater purpose can guide us through the hardest moments. Joseph's journey makes us reflect on our own decisions. How often do we fail to act out of fear of the unknown? His story challenges us to leave our comfort zone and embrace the call to something greater, even when the path seems uncertain. After years of living as refugees in Egypt, Joseph and his family faced a new challenge. When would it be safe to return to their homeland? The answer once again came through an angelic message. But why was the return so significant? And how did it confirm the greater divine plan? The angel appeared to Joseph once more, saying, "Get up, take the child and his mother, and go to the land of Israel. For those who were trying to take the child's life are dead." This guidance marked the end of exile and a new beginning. However, the return was not without danger. Archelaus, Herod's son, had taken the throne of Judea, and his reputation for cruelty was no different from his father's. This once again required Joseph's total trust in the divine plan. Joseph decided to settle in Nazareth, a relatively obscure town in Galilee. This choice was not only practical, but also prophetic. By living in Nazareth, Jesus was identified as a Nazarene, fulfilling what had been spoken by the prophets. Every move Joseph made, guided by the angel's messages, had a greater purpose that he might not have fully understood at the time. The return home was more than a physical relocation. It was a confirmation that the divine plan was unfolding exactly as intended. Each stage, from the flight to Egypt to the return, was aligned with ancient prophecies, such as those in Isaiah and Micah, which pointed to the Messiah's journey. Through his obedience, Joseph became an essential instrument in this fulfillment. Beyond the spiritual aspect, the return also brought practical challenges. Starting over in Nazareth meant rebuilding a life from scratch. As a carpenter, Joseph had to provide for his family and create a safe environment for Jesus to grow up. Despite the difficulties, he remained dedicated and faithful, exemplifying resilience and hard work. This return also teaches us about the importance of patience and timing. Joseph did not return prematurely, even though exile was uncomfortable. He waited for divine guidance, showing that sometimes it's necessary to wait and act at the right moment. How often in our lives do we try to rush the process instead of trusting that things will happen in due time? The choice of Nazareth is a reminder that God works through simple circumstances and seemingly insignificant places. Instead of a palace or an important city, the boy who would become the Savior was raised in a humble village. This lesson encourages us to find purpose even in the most ordinary parts of our lives. The return home represents the closing of one chapter, but also the beginning of something new. The safety Joseph sought for his family was achieved, but his journey of obedience was far from over. He continued to live an exemplary life, trusting that each step was part of something greater. What do the angel's messages to Joseph teach us today? Though we live in a vastly different world, the lessons of faith, courage, and obedience remain as relevant today as they were 2,000 years ago. These messages not only change the course of history, but also offer profound reflections for our daily lives. The first great lesson is about unwavering faith. Joseph did not receive complete answers or detailed guarantees. He received guidance at specific moments and had to act without knowing what would come next. How often are we called to act based solely on trust, without a clear vision of the future? Joseph's story challenges us to embrace faith, even when everything seems uncertain. Courage is also a central theme. Making tough decisions when fear is a real possibility is never easy. Joseph had to confront his own insecurities and the dangers around him to protect his family. This practical courage, which drove him to act rather than freeze, inspires us to face our challenges with determination. Obedience, perhaps the most striking element of Joseph's story, teaches us the importance of trusting in something greater than ourselves. His readiness to follow each instruction, no matter how difficult, is a powerful example of surrender. Obedience does not mean blind submission. Rather, it is the willingness to trust and act when we recognize the authority of a greater purpose. Another significant point is the importance of each individual's role in the divine plan. Joseph was a simple carpenter with no great influence or status. Yet his faithfulness to the angel's messages allowed him to play a crucial role in fulfilling ancient prophecies. This reminds us that no matter how ordinary we may feel, our actions can have eternal impact. Moreover, the angel's messages highlight the balance between action and waiting. Joseph was not passive. He was always ready to act when needed, but he also knew how to wait for the right instructions without rushing ahead. This combination of patience and readiness is a valuable lesson for our time, where impatience often leads us to act impulsively. The messages also invite us to value silence and introspection. Divine communication with Joseph happened in dreams, moments of quiet and contemplation. In a noisy and fast-paced world, it's easy to overlook the subtle signs and messages. Joseph's story invites us to create space to listen to what truly matters. Finally, Joseph's journey shows us that even the most difficult circumstances can be transformed into something beautiful and meaningful. From the flight to Egypt to the return to Nazareth, every step of his journey had a clear purpose. This encourages us to view life's challenges as opportunities for growth and alignment with a greater plan. These lessons not only illuminate Joseph's story, but also offer a compass for navigating our own dilemmas. Faith, courage, obedience, and the search for meaning in every experience are the pillars that continue to guide us. The story of Joseph and the angel's messages is not just an ancient account. It's a source of inspiration to face our own dilemmas with faith, courage, and obedience. Like Joseph, we are called to trust the process, even when we don't understand the full plan. His journey teaches us that even the most challenging moments can align with a greater purpose if we are willing to listen and act. May this reflection encourage us to see every challenge as an opportunity for growth and to seek meaning in our daily choices. After all, like Joseph, each of us plays a unique role in a story far greater than we can imagine. If this content touched you positively, leaving a like is the best way to express your gratitude and encourage us to produce more content like this. I also invite you to share the greatest lesson you learned from this video. Leave a comment with your reflection or something that touched you in a special way. I would feel very honored and happy to know how this message impacted your life. See you in the next video.